Hi, welcome to the Rapid Returns Show. I'm your host, Clarence, and we are powered by Otis AI. I am here today with Erika, co-founder and CEO of Prosper. How are you, Erika?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Thanks for
So, um, so this is all about scale ups, right? Startups and scale ups. And I have a challenge today. My challenge is to provide you a rapid returns tip to help Prosper scale. So, if it's okay with you, let's dive into the interview.
Okay, let's do it.
Awesome. Um, so as founder and CEO, what was your original vision for Prosper and how has that evolved as you scale?
The original vision was really centered mostly around business owners, managers, operators of people, right? How can we make their lives easier? How can we make their lives better? I came from an operational background. Uh, when it comes to managing people, the struggle is real, especially in four-wall businesses, right? So it's very specifically frontline, hourly, shift-based kind of teams. Over time, we are realizing more and more that the best way to support managers and business owners is actually by supporting the team members first, right? So you're building a product for everybody, but really taking the end user into priority one and making it something they like to use, that they want to use, that they will use and can use. Right. And so then everything kind of builds on top of that. So really, I think we're making a concerted effort in the way we do everything from training to product, bottom up versus top down.
And who is that client that you're building this for? How do you identify them um, with your advertising strategy, particularly? Like, how do you know who you're speaking to and how to get them into Prosper?
You want to know what? If you can give me any tip, I'll take that one.
We're going to get to that. Okay, let's start with your ideal client. Who's that?
So our ideal client is typically multi-unit. They're either a corporately owned business where they own all of the units, or they're a large franchisee of a different organization, right? Say, for example, someone who owns 85 Dunkins or 55 dry bars. To really be an ideal Prosper customer, you have to have customer-facing employees, right? Because it becomes so much more paramount that your frontline A is in the loop, B feels connected and actually has access to information because they're customer facing, right? If you have a giant manufacturing floor, are you going to see value on Prosper? Certainly. But it's much easier for one employee to ask another employee, oh, hey, what was this? Or it's much easier to have a giant bulletin board that everybody can see and relay information on versus in more retail or service environments, right? The environment is really made for that customer, not for the employee. And so all of those information access points kind of have to be like tucked away and hidden in some respects. And the employee has to know because they're the ones providing the actual experience that is driving your revenue.
So let's say you're going after a franchisee that has 85 Dunkins.
Yep.
Who is the decision maker within that company
It can
that
either
would buy
be
Prosper?
it's either the ownership group themselves, right? Like the actual franchise partner, or oftentimes there's an operational director or a COO, depending on how large the organization is. We definitely sell into the operational department.
Okay, great. So what does that sales funnel look like from top to bottom? Like, how are you getting them into your mix? And then what's your sales cycle like?
The majority of our really high qualified leads are coming from referral, right? And I
Okay.
think that's pretty common for a seed stage business. Oh my God, say that 10 times fast. Um, we definitely have word of mouth, right? So what will happen typically is one franchise group within an organization will start, and then they all talk, right? And so then you start to see all of the inbounds come in, and they're all within one brand umbrella. A lot of it is peer to peer. So, someone used to be an operational leader in a place that use Prosper, they move jobs, they bring us with them. And so that's kind of the best way that we get people in the mix. We're just starting to kind of play with Google, possibly LinkedIn, but probably later. I hear like mixed reviews on LinkedIn advertising.
We will get to that. Okay, so it sounds like you're doing mostly, first of all, that's congratulations on your success. If you're getting that much word of mouth and referral business, that means that you've built an amazing product, like for sure. I guess as a fellow founder, as a CEO, how do you measure that? And more importantly, how do you dial that up on demand? Like when you're talking to investors and they're like, where are your customers coming from? If it's referrals, do you come across a challenge with how you can use their money to get more of that? Or like, have you?
Right? Like there's a ceiling to word of mouth, peer-to-peer referral business. And we do see inbound too. Software Advice has been a really great partner of ours. So we do, right, there are other inbound channels. But I would say like our best leads, the ones that are really great fits because the person referring them understands what we do. And so then they come in and they're not completely cold, are still referral. There is certainly a scalability issue to that. But where we are today as a business, the fact that our driving channel isn't the world's most scalable is secondary, right? Like it's going to have to change. And we're starting that really kind of mission this year of like, okay, how can we get people more automatedly through a funnel? How can we find people that are kind of just out there in the ether? And how do we message properly? How do we drive them through this in a way that's going to make some sense?
Okay, so I mean, my job is to give you a tip to solve that problem.
Right.
So I guess what I'm hearing is your biggest challenge is how do you control your lead flow? And how do you basically have a dial that you can turn to scale that up? And it sounds like you are looking into digital marketing as a way to do that. So I guess my main question, so that I can provide you with a tip, is what's the biggest obstacle preventing you from unlocking effective digital marketing?
Part of it is that Prosper is a really robust product. It's not a point solution. So it is somewhat difficult to find someone who is organically searching for the breadth of things that we do. And figuring out how to get them in on one thing, but not overwhelm them with everything is certainly something that is in the conversation. And I think the other piece that's a legitimate challenge is that we solve a real problem. Operators and businesses know the problem is real. But the idea of people being hard to manage is a problem you're seeking a solution for in technology is not the world's most obvious or common search query. Right? A lot of the challenges that we solve, our biggest competitor is someone doing nothing. Right? Our biggest competitor is someone
One of
saying
ours too.
WhatsApp and exactly, right? And so, it's not like people are actively going, oh, wait a second. I need to engage and support my hourly employees in a way that's good, right? Like it's just not that's kind of a blocker of right. Like we know there's a problem. We know the problem's real. We know the product's great. We know the product has value. And then connecting all of that in a world that can capture a lead on the internet and drive them to us is certainly all tips welcome.
So you have a solution for a problem that we know exists. But people don't know that there's a solution for this problem, even though they realize that they have it. So it becomes a situation of having to educate a market, essentially, that there is a solution for the problem that you have.
Mhm.
Okay. Um, what I'm about to give you a tip. I
Okay,
have
I'm
one
waiting.
last question. What is your sales cycle like? When somebody enters
As
your
fast as a
orbit,
day,
what's the
it's as
sales
long
cycle?
as 6 months.
What's that?
It's as fast as a day, right? We have a handful, if not more than that, of one call closes. We have larger, middle enterprise, small enterprise deals that can take me 6 to 8 months. I'd say the average sales cycle is about 20 days.
And I'm assuming you use a CRM like HubSpot or Salesforce.
Yeah.
HubSpot? Okay. Well, I have a tip if you're ready for it.
I'm ready.
All right, great. So, one, I did suspect that you have a long sales cycle because we are educating people that are in more kind of enterprise type businesses that they have to then, sell to their people, right? Like they don't want to jump the gun and, buy something that they weren't necessarily, that they didn't have buy-in from the organization, right? So you're going to have a longer sales cycle in that. So from the top down, the first priority is identifying the right people
Mhm.
with the right messaging that's going to get them into your sales orbit, right? So a solution like Otis can definitely do that, and you don't have to unpack all of Google search ads and LinkedIn ads and Facebook ads, et cetera. And I say Facebook and TikTok because you might not be thinking about platforms like that, but those decision makers at the end of the day are people. And sometimes they're more open to new ideas when they're on the couch on Sunday scrolling through TikTok, right?
Say
So
that all the time.
yeah. So
Great.
we approach all channels, and then we obviously optimize for what's working, but we don't exclude anything. We do data-driven tests on the audience that you're targeting, right? So if you know who the people are that you want to target, we can precisely target them and then nurture them over time based on their funnel stages, right? So, if it takes up to 6 months to close, then we should be peppering them with messaging throughout that period that they're thinking about it, right? Because, 6 months is a long time. You're running a business, you can forget things. So every once in a while, yes, it's okay for the salespeople to keep calling them, but, passively, you can also be popping up when they're watching TV at home, when they're scrolling through TikTok, when they're on LinkedIn, and that messaging can also change over time based on their funnel stage. So maybe when they're a little bit more engaged, we're serving them ads that have links to white papers or other things versus the very first like this exists type of thing to get them into the funnel. So I would have a funnel approach that starts with getting them into the funnel and then strategically nurturing them throughout that funnel stage and continuing to be top of mind and building that awareness and brand familiarity
Yeah.
over time so they get comfortable with you and they have additional uh, data points and like kind of backup information to help them close that, like those white papers that I mentioned.
Yeah.
Um, so that would be my advice to you.
I
What
like
do you
it.
think about that?
Yeah, no, retargeting is something that we definitely do. Um, bit of, and I think it's a great idea.
Awesome. Um, Well, maybe we can help you do even more and more strategically. So I have a question for you.
Sure.
You've obviously grown this business to the point where it is now. Um, do you have any advice that you would share with other founders and other people running startups on how to make those successful referral partnerships? Like what advice would you give that that you learned from your experience that helped you get to where you are now?
Um, Specifically around building referrals and partnerships, don't be afraid to ask. Right? I think oftentimes people are like, oh, someone's naturally going to think to offer this to a friend or to, sing your praises or what have you. And sometimes they might, and sometimes they do, but I don't think there's anything wrong with training your success team or your support team when they've had a great interaction with someone and they're developing a rapport and relationship. Hey, by the way, we do have this referral program, or right, we are growing. We're always looking for more customers. There's nothing wrong with being a growing business. And, similarly to those stupid sorority t-shirts that say, like, if you like me, you'll love my sister. Like, if there's a business and you have a great relationship with them and they're great customers and they treat you well and you treat them well, 9 times out of 10, the people that they're going to associate with aren't going to suck. So it's also a really great way to keep your customer pool with people that you love to work with.
I love that. Don't be afraid to ask.
Don't be afraid to ask.
That's great. Thank you so much for being on the show. I wish you many rapid returns. And for those of you watching, first of all, Prosper is a solution for your employees. And if any of the advice that you found helpful is applicable to your business, we do have an offer. We will match your ad credit in the first month up to $250. Go to meetotis.com/rapid returns.